So hello everyone. Thank everybody that joined on time. If you couldn't make it today in class or if you're watching the video, thanks for doing that too. We are back for week 6. This is our last week. So we are at the end of our application that we're building. We're going to finish it today, and then we're going to go through some more advanced topics this week generally about sort of like next steps, how we save this work, how we collaborate with others, and version control systems is going to be the last thing we talk about on Thursday to sort of round out a full set of beginning tools to get you going on building whatever it is you want to build from here, or use this however you want to use it. But again, today we're going to be completing our application, which involves the rest of our CRUD operations, which, as I'm sure you recall, is create, read, update, and delete. We've already implemented reads where we started. I was just grabbing something out of the database, presenting it on the screen as we're using HTML to the user based on their request. And then last time we did create, where we created a record. We sent along with our request some information. We checked to see if that request was a post request. We took the post information, did something with it. Today, we're going to do the last two together, update and delete. So update is going to be a continuation and sort of building off of what we did with create. And then delete is going to use a lot of the same principles and be very, very simple and fast. If we have time towards the end of class, we're also going to look at refactoring our function-based views into class-based views. Right now, we're writing functions for all of our views. Refactoring should be simple and quick, but that again is sort of extra if we get to that. It's in the documentation. If we don't cover it in class, that'll be sort of like homework to get there. The main goal for today is to make sure that we have our update and delete functions working properly. So to do that, let's dive right in. There is nothing much else to talk about theory-wise, but let's refresh our memories and talk a little bit about how we're going to build the next piece we're going to build. So our sites, if you've been following up to now, should have the ability to go to a couple of different pages. So we have navigation between a home, about page, and then our to-do list, which right now we can read the option or read the tasks that we have in our database right here. So this is the read. We have an add task button, so we can add some more stuff. Don't have anything real interesting here, but we can, add a date, status, submit it, and we should have that third one here. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a way to update this from here, and we're going to add some way on here to update it. And we think kind of logically about user interactions and user experience and stuff like that. Typically, users are going to just like kind of poke at the thing that they want to do. So what we're going to do is just put a button under the title of each of these that will take us to the update screen. So we have to build that full function, going through the same process that we've done before, writing a view, mapping a URL, doing something with a template, and then adding that navigation, this last piece of a link here from our existing app to where we need to be. And like I said, we're going to be building off of, so I'm going to look at my files real quick. We're going to be building off of what we have already done. So this is just sort of review. We're not going to be doing anything just yet when we get started. We're going to go into the to-do application, and we're going to look at our views. And if you remember last time when we wrote our create task view right here, we took a request, and then we checked the method to see if it was a post and did some stuff with the task form. A lot of the logic we're going to do today for updating a task is going to be very, very similar. The only difference is that when we send the request initially, we're going to send some information in it. We're going to tell it to get information out of the database first, a particular record that we want to use and update. And then we're going to present that information to the user on the screen so that they can see what they're updating, and then give them the same interface. We're going to use a lot of the same pieces like the task form and that sort of stuff over again today, not have to write that from scratch. But we're going to run a new method or a new function underneath in our view. So let's get started the way we always get started, even though most of the stuff we're going to do today is probably going to be in there. We're not going to be a lot in our console, but for good practice, what's the first thing that we got to do whenever we start?
Virtual
Source bin/bin/activate.
That's the one, virtual environment. So we're going to activate our virtual environment, bin activate, and then we'll change our working directory into the top level my site project root directory. Cool. Then we can go into our views.py, where I just was. So to do views.py, and let's start writing our new view. All right, so under the create task, give myself a little bit of space so we kind of move up. And let's define the way we have in the past a new function for our update task. view. And this, as we have in the past, is going to handle a request. Except this time we're going to pass another parameter, and this is going to be called PK. Anyone have a guess at what that stands for? Or, I mean, if you're not looking at the documentation, don't call it out if you read the
Package.
documentation. Go ahead. Anybody? PK? Give you a
Package.
hint. Nope, not package. It's a reference to, think about database interactions. Think about relational databases. What's one of the major defining characteristics of a relational database that we talked about? It has a
Something key.
yes, something key,
Public key?
primary key. Primary key. So this is the primary key. And we're going to use this primary key to reference the thing out of the database that we want to update, right? And the primary key in Django, like when we looked at the database examples, like we could have composite primary keys where it could be like we use what was the title and the author of a book together to link that one record as the thing. That's all fine and great. Usually it's just going to be an integer. And unless you specify otherwise in your models, Django will by default use an integer as the primary key. So unless you tell Django otherwise, we're going to be dealing with integers as primary keys. And it's a real common way to grab the specific thing that you want to use. So we're going to use that PK to pass that in and do some stuff with it. All right, so what we need to do first is we need to grab the specific task that we want to update. So we'll store that in a variable named task, singular. So it's one task that we're going to update at a time. And then this is where our writing in Python, but it's going to boil down to SQL. We're going to tell it, right, the from, which table, what do we want to grab, right, where it meets this criteria. So the table we're going to use is task, capital task, dot objects, the thing that we want to grab. And then this time, we're going to use the command get and pass it a keyword argument of ID. Set its value to our PK. So that's going to tell it to, out of the objects, out of all the objects in our task table in the database, we want you to get the one whose ID matches this primary key that we're going to pass to you. And ID and primary key are like used interchangeably, honestly. So we're going to use that a couple of times, different places. It refers to the same thing. All right. So now we've got our task that we want to grab. Next thing we got to do is we got to check to see what kind of method we're dealing with in HTTP, right? Remember, we have different methods for different sorts of things. So similar to what we did with the creation of a brand new task, we're going to check to see if that method is a post method and build that logic first. So we'll say if request dot method, no space there. So if space request dot method is equal to two equal signs, the string post all caps, and then colon to enter a code block. So now we're inside of our if statement to check our method to see if it's a post method. We're going to tell the computer what to do from here. And the first thing we're going to do, just like we did before, is we're going to give ourselves a form variable to use. And that form is going to be an instance of a task form, just like we did before. It's the same form. There's nothing about that form that we made before that's not going to apply to this task update that we're doing because we're using the same database objects. So it's going to use the same fields, interact with the same database stuff. So we can just reuse it here. No need to make a new one. And just like we did, we're going to put the request dot post information inside of this. Except this time, unlike when we did our create operation and we're doing update, we're going to do something else with this one. We're going to bind it to a specific instance. And that instance is going to be this one up here. So this, again, to make sure that we're only using the one thing that we want to be updating and changing, we're going to tell this task form when we make it to bind to that thing. And we're going to pass it the keyword argument of instance and set it to our task variable from up here. Right? And this could be done a number of different places. So like writing it here as we instantiate our task form is somewhat of a choice, but this is kind of the standard way to do it. And this is called binding our form to the database instance.
Hey Jeff,
Yeah.
question, does it matter if we capitalize post?
In this part right here,
Yeah, on line 36.
I'm not sure, but I have it capitalized most places. Good call. Let's do that. Let's not find out if it breaks. It might actually, since it's typically written all caps, and this is reference to the object name, right? So it's going to be a key value somewhere. That's the key. So yeah, good call. But that's also something you should experiment with. Give it a shot. Write in lowercase. See what happens. I almost did. You should have let me do it and see if I broke. See if I would have caught myself. But good question. All right. So from here, now we've got our form instance. We've bound our task that we pulled out of the database to that form instance. So the form is populated with the information we want. We know that we've got the right stuff. We need to now do what we did in the past to see if our form is valid. So we're going to do an if statement here. So we're 2 indentations over, right? So we're inside of our function definition, and we're inside of this outer if block. So we're going to say if form.is_valid, the built-in validation method for all forms in Django, which is really helpful. And once again, as a reminder, once you take this and you're going to expand and build other more interesting things than a to-do list, this is one of the places where you're going to put in other logic. Once you have the form data, it's been validated, and you've got the stuff out of this, this would be the place where you can start building your custom logic, grabbing functions that you wrote from other places, putting in APIs, doing all kinds of really sexy stuff. This is going to be the place where you're going to do that. But for us, we're going to do the last step, which is going to be a form.save. So no matter what you do, I'll spell save correctly. No matter what you do, the last step you should do is save your form. We're just going to save it. We're not going to do anything really cool here. We're just going to, whatever updates the user gave to us, we're going to put that in there. But you can do all sorts of cool stuff in here with the data that you've got from that form that the user gave to you. All right, so now we have our form data. We've saved it into that form object. We need to this, I guess, taking a step back, this right here is committing the information to the database, right? So we've now checked its validity, made sure we lined it up right with the right record, and we've committed to the database, but we got to send the user somewhere because we don't want to send them to the database. There's nothing to see there. We want to return them someplace else. And we also want our function to stop, so we're going to use a return statement. So we've entered this code block through the conditional control statements. Now we want to return something, and our return is going to be just like it was when we created something because it's the same data going to the database, user going to the front end again and seeing something on our front end. We're going to say redirect. And then inside, we're going to use the reverse so that we can use our namespaced application. So reverse. Then we say as a string to do, colon, and then the place we want them to go, view dash tasks. Not view dash tasks. And close off both parentheses. Cool. All right, so this is very similar to what we did when we created a task. The only main difference right now, since we're just binding this task form to this instance that we pulled out. We're doing this first because there's one that exists in this case. In the creation one, there wasn't one that existed. Since we're updating, there was. And we've now handled our post method. So this is when somebody's filled out the form and they've sent it to us and they want to commit those changes. We need to now handle the other scenario where the method is not a post, which is presumably they're going to be get when they first come to our web to the page and they click the whatever, edit button, update button that we give them. So the else condition, which again should be one indentation in because it's lined up with this right here. It's the other part of this conditional control statement. So we say our else condition is if there's, again, we're assuming that the method is going to be something other than post. And this is going to be largely what we did up here. Honestly, it's going to be mostly the same stuff that we did when we created our task. So we can just copy this whole everything from else underneath, and we'll just make a couple of quick updates. So I'm going to do that instead of writing it all by hand. We'll go line by line and still talk about it. But it's going to be largely a repeat of these things with small updates. So let's do that. All right, so like we did before when we were creating in our else condition, when it wasn't a post thing, we gave them an empty task form, except this time we don't want it to be totally empty because they're updating a task. We want to give them information back from what's already there, or else they're not going to know what updates they'd like to make. So just like we did up here, we're just going to take this instance equal is task statement, and we're going to put it into similarly, this task form call in our else block. So the form is going to be task form with the keyword argument of instance is task, which again is referencing our task that we pull out of the database. And this is once again binding that to our task form so that the user has the information in front of them that they want to see to update. The last change, well, not the last change. One more change we're going to make here real quick is to the context object, right? We have this dictionary here, which has our form in it, which we need to get to the front end. We need to send that in with our return statement. We're going to add the task object. And the reason we do this is so, this is optional. We don't have to do this, but this is going to give us a way to pull information out of this task and put on the front end, say like updating task number 1, updating task name, whatever, and take the information out of that specific task dynamically to the front end, just like we would with anything else. So your context object, again, calling this out for when you expand your own applications and make something more interesting than a to-do list, your context object can hold pretty much any of these variables and things that you make along the way. If you want it to be available to your front-end templates, pass it to your context object and put it in just as a dictionary like this, key value pair. And you're going to use this key to reference it in your front end. And we'll do that here shortly. Okay, so we've added our other condition when a request method is not a post method. It's going to come to this else condition, and it's going to give the users back a form that is not blank, that is tied to this specific instance that we grabbed out of the database and present that information as pre-filled in each thing for them to change. And now we have our return statement, and since we added our task just to the context, we don't have to do anything here. Context is already passed. We are going to make a change to this template, though. So we're gonna use the same front-end template for the form that we used for creating. There's nothing substantively different about that template, except whether or not we're updating or creating a form. So we're going to make a small logical change to that, but we're going to use one form for the two of them. So we're going to say, instead of just create-task HTML, we're going to add create-update-task. And likewise, to our create task method, I'm going to change this template call as well, because we're going to use one template for both of these views. So the create-update-task HTML in both our create task view and our update task view. Should be this create-update-task.html and the context object. And that's it. That is our update task view. Any questions about this before we move on and never talk about it again?
I had a question that might be later when we did something.
Okay.
Syntax here. I'm not. Oh, I think I see what it is. There it is. Okay.
All right. Cool. Cool. All right. So where do we go from here? We've written our view. What's the next step in our 4-step process? We do views, then what?
Make a path.
Right. Make a path in our
URLs.
Very good. So we go to do URLs, and we have to follow similar patterns to what we have. So I'm just going to copy this create task path. Whoa, just the create task path, and we'll paste it into the list right here, and just update the pieces that we need. So now we're going to do, instead of task new, we're going to do task/update. Again, this is arbitrary. Doesn't really matter what you put in here. It's going to be written at the top of the page, up here in the address bar. But as long as it's not the same as anything else you've used in this application, it makes no difference what you put here. So that's up to you. But there is one piece we are going to include to make sure that we're passing the primary key the way that we want to between our views and our backend and all the things that we need to do. So to do that, we're going to add inside of the string, after the slash, after update, we're going to do an angle bracket. So the left angle bracket, and int, which stands for integer, and then pk, and then the other angle bracket. So this looks a lot like an HTML tag with a key value pair inside with int and pk. And so this is just telling us that it's going to be an integer with the pk as the thing to expect. Expect this primary key as an integer. Then we got to change this create task to update because we're not creating a task with this. We're updating task. Similarly, this create also to update. So we know we're updating the task. And that should be it for mapping our URL. We've passed our primary key so it can be used in the view that we just wrote to grab the right record out of the database, present it back to the user using the template that we gave it. So now that we've mapped our URL, so we've written our view, mapped our URL, what's step number 3 after I save this?
Add navigation.
Oh, that's the last step. That's step number 4. Before we add navigation, we got to do what?
Make a template.
Yes. Very good. So we got to make a template. So in this case, again, we're not going to make a new one, but we're going to make an adjustment to an existing template. So let's go over and do that. So we're going to instill our application level. We're going to go, so my site to do templates, redundantly to do. And we have this create task.html, which you know that we want to rename. So the first thing we're going to do before we make any changes, let's rename this thing before we move on. I'm going to do that in the console because I think that's the best way to do it. There actually might be a way to do it here. I don't know. If you prefer to do it in the GUI, good on you. This is a very simple command, though, so don't get lost. I think we can all do it. Let's go back to our bash console and rename this file. So we're going to go back to our bash console. We have our command thing here. I'm going to zoom in a little bit, make sure that it's visible. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to use the command mv, which is short for move. And this is a way to move files and directories around. It's very, very handy, but it's also used to rename stuff. So what we do is it takes 2 arguments. It takes a source and a destination. So you take your source path, whatever that is, your directory, a file, could be a directory, could be a file, and you give it the target place you want it to go. And that target could be a different name file if you want to change the name of the file. So in our case, we're going to do from here. So we had a couple options. We could either move ourselves and change our working directory all the way down into the to-do directory, or we could explicitly write the name of the file that we want to change. Which way we want to do? We want to change directories first, or we want to just move it here with like the long names?
I did the long names.
Do the long names?
All at once, yeah.
Yeah, let's do the long names. All right, let's do the long names. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to say move, and then we're going to say, remember, this is in our to do, right? To do. Well, templates using tab complete, right? To make sure that we do have the directories that we expect to do. And then we want to make our create task HTML. All right, so I'm not going to hit enter, but it's going to wrap around on my screen because I'm running out of screen space here. So this is still one line. Don't hit enter in the middle of this. But now we have our first thing, so there's a space, right? So we got the full directory that we wanted to source. Now we do the destination. So this is called our source. Now we're in the same directory, so we're going to do to do again, tab complete, templates, zoom stuff in my way, but to do. And now we'll give it the name that we want to have, right? So let's create dash update dash task.html. Give you a second before we hit enter. Make sure that you spelled it right, because again, it's not going to give you confirmation. Hey, you sure you want to do that? It's just going to do it. So if you make a misspelling or you make a spelling error here, you'll have to fix it. But you know, that's annoying. So let's see. Create update task. I say that, and then I have to double check my own spelling, because if I misspell something after all that, it would be even worse. But I think we're good. So I'm going to hit enter. And predictably, it gave me no input. So I'm going to go back here just to the GUI and refresh this page. And it should just change that name to create update task. And when I go in here, hopefully we still have the template that we had before. Cool. Now we can do a small change that we need to do here to be able to be sensitive to the fact that the only thing that really is going to update here is this heading. Outside of that, all this stuff in here, this form, this HTML form, there's nothing specific about creating anything. This is really just a generic form. You can use this for any form interaction that you had, even if it's not creating stuff. It could be, you know, if you have other forms that you want to, well, I mean, I guess all forms are creating something. But if you want to create other objects, I mean, not just tasks, something else, this same form is going to do it. You're going to have fields. You're going to use your cross-site reference forgery tokens. You're going to be throwing up errors. Like, all this stuff is exactly the same. None of this is about our app specifically. So all we're going to do is add a little piece of logic up here to present the users with either new task or update task, and then some information about the task. So let's do that. And that's very simply going to be some if statement logic using Django's template tags. So we're going to open that up with the curly bracket, percentage sign, and then I'm going to do percentage sign curly bracket, and say if. And then the condition that we're going to check for is, if you remember in our view, we wrote in our context, we sent back a task object when we're updating a task, right? That's the main differentiator between creating something new and updating something, is the presence of a task to be updated, right? So we could just simply, as a Boolean check, just say if there is a task. So just if task. So meaning if there is a task, do this thing. And then we'll put in our else condition, because the else condition is going to be add a new task if there is no task. So in a Django template tag, we say else. Close it off. And then I'm going to wrap this new task in our end if before we forget, because if we don't end our if statements in Django's front end template tags, it's going to be a problem. So we do end if underneath our new task heading, which is in our else condition, meaning there is no task being sent to the front end in our context object. So in the case there is a task sent, let's just add another, for consistency, H3 tag. We'll put update task in there. And then this is an opportunity where we could put some sort of information about the task in the same way that we grab any information in the front end out of one specific thing. So now we have this task object here. We can grab anything out of it that we want to using the double curly brackets, opening, closing, then inside the name of the thing that we've passed. So task in our case, dot, whatever we want to grab from it. So ID, we can put title up here, whatever we want to do. So we're just going to do ID for demonstrative purposes to show that we do grab a different ID number each time. And the title and everything else is going to be in the form, so there's really no need, logically, even to include the title, because that's already going to be in there. And that's it. We have this little bit of logic, and then we can just reuse this form, and we can extend this as many times as we need to. So let's save this. And then we should be good. We should have, well, actually, not yet. What's our last step out of the 4 steps? Now we've done our, we've updated this template. Now it's the last step. JT,
Make a button.
Yep, make a button. There we go. Navigation. We got to somehow navigate to this new function that we made. So we got to make a button someplace. So again, if we think about this logically, users are likely to click the name of the thing. So let's just wrap the name of the thing in an anchor tag that sends them through our new create function. So to do that, we're going to go up to our base template. So up at the My Site templates level. So we're not in the application, we're in the project level templates. We go to base.html. Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry. What am I talking about? This is a project level thing. It's in the views. View tasks. I'm all over the place. Sorry. So My Site to do templates. To do view tasks HTML. Apologies, because we're going to put it on each one of the things, right? It's not in the base, it's in the to-do application. So we're going to put it around the title itself. So if you recall, we have our template here, and here is the actual task. Here's the title. So what we're going to do is add an A tag just around this piece inside, right? So let's give ourselves some space to work. Just going to hit space inside of our TD tag, which is the table data tag, is what that stands for. And I'll indent this one more. Again, irrelevant to the code, but more human readable. And we're going to open up our A tag up here at the top. Take the closing A tag and just put it on the other side of our title. Right, so the title of our task is going to be the text that's shown out in the A tag. And now we just have to add our familiar hyperlink reference and an href attribute of the A tag. Just like we have in many times, we're going to put our Django tag. So curly bracket, percentage sign, closing curly bracket, or percentage sign, closing curly bracket. Do URL keyword. Our named space as a string to do, colon, update dash task, and close it off. And then this time we need one more piece. Who recalls what we need to send as well with this? Not just the template or just the URL route. What else do we need to send this time?
You
That's
have to
different.
send
ID.
the key as well.
Was that Josh Rice?
Would you have to send the key as well?
Yeah, you got to send the key in some way. So outside of our URL string that we sent, so outside of that string, we're going to send task.id, just like we did at the front end template where we grab the ID out of that task thing. We know that's in our context object. We know that's the primary key that's expected. So that's what we're going to send in here. And so this is, again, the standard way that you send anything through a link throughout your applications. All right, so now we'll save this, and we should have our create operation done. We should be able to go to our site once we reload the server-side code here. Then hopefully when we go back over here and refresh in our browser, we see some links show up, some hyperlinks show up underneath, which is promising. Now if we click on one of these, we'll click on this new task. It should take me to that which says update task with the number. The information pre-filled in there. Let's change something and say we completed this task. Now we submit, and now it did, in fact, change that status, and we can read that. So that is creation. Who is stuck or has questions?
I only have new task under tasks.
Okay. Do you need to make some more?
Newest and another.
I made those as demonstrations. So yours are going to look different, whatever based on whatever you've made.
Mine just has new task. Like somehow I got rid of the first one that was
Oh, did it take out? Did you make these tasks and it's just showing this first one?
yeah, that's all it's showing.
But you expect it to show 3 like this?
No, I thought it had another one.
We'll try.
An
Can you add a
original.
task and see if you can add a task and see if it pops up? Because if you go to create or update a task and it's like deleting other ones, that's a problem. But it shouldn't because we don't even have a way to
Got
do
a-
task yet.
Syntax error
Uh-oh.
in my to do templates to do create update task.
Uh-huh.
So my
Okay.
end 4 should be expected end block.
Ah,
Line
yes.
17.
All right. So look in. Probably forgot. I'll go back in this create update task HTML. Check to see if you have your end if statement properly written.
We get to create update task. Okay, there we go. Line was that 9? End if
Yeah, 9 for me.
percent signs brackets. Yeah, I got that.
You got that? Okay.
hmm
And then that was the only change we made. You want me to hop into yours and have a look? Let me see if we debug it together.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, man. Let's do it. Wait, is this you right here?
DM.
Yeah, DM. This one?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Uh-huh.
All right. So, actually, first, let's go to the web. Actually, I don't know if it'll give me the full error like it does for you. It does. Okay, cool. So invalid block tag on line 17 and 4 expected end block. All right, cool. So it's definitely in that same file. Let's go have a look. Figure out why it's doing that. Files, my site, to do. Create update task else and if. All right, that's right. It makes it seem like there's something not close. Ah, I see it now. Anybody else see it?
Dollar signs.
Dollar signs. Dollar bills. 2 of them too. I mean, you were consistent, man. Like,
There's also one in the for field in form.
yeah, there's one up here, and then you got
Where's
2
that?
down here.
Oh man, the percent and dollar sign are too close to each other.
They are. They are.
See if
Alright.
that worked.
Yeah. Here, I'll get out of this so it doesn't jam you up for saving. Anybody else stuck or have a question?
Yeah, I'm getting error on my page. Do
Okay.
you mind jumping on mine?
Sure. So right here, Mike
Yeah,
Hernandez.
all the buttons work now.
Nice. Nice. All right. All right, cool. Let's see. Mike, what's going on with yours? Yeah, I'm just going to open it here.
I'm seeing a syntax error on views.py or to do views.py, but it's telling me it's line 20 on URL.
Okay, hold up. Let's go. So you see a syntax error in the text editor is what you're saying?
Yeah,
Okay. In which file?
and I think it's views.py. To do views.py. Yeah,
Yep. All right. Views.py. Let's have a look.
and it's
Yeah,
on
here we
40.
go. Yeah, okay. Syntax error. All right. Ah, okay. So indentation, man, this is the killer right here. So what you did is you just started writing the definition of the function for the view.
Oh, I see it.
One indentation in too deep, right? So like basically you're
Yeah.
defining it inside of this one. So it's not even finding it. So that's
I
why
see
it's
it, I
giving you
see
like
it.
as a break some other place. So you got to move, looks like everything down, just down to line 39. Because I think everything from 40 and below is in the right spot. So everything from this definition down to the return statement in the first thing. So from 33 to 39, if you move all that over one, which again, if you highlight it all and then hit control and then the left square bracket, it should move everything over one indentation. And give that a shot. See if that solves your problem. And I'll get out of there so there's not two of them open at once.
Okay, now it's giving me a syntax on 46.
Still in your views?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
trying to see if it's an indentation on that one too.
Nope, that's a different one. That one, I see what that one is too, though. It's on line 46.
Missing an S.
No.
Oh,
So you're calling two different functions here. So you need, or I'm sorry, render. Oh, wait, no, that's not it. You're just doing render. I don't see what the issue is. Never mind, I take that back. That was up here where you need the two closing. You have that. This is single because it's render. Context. Let's see. That's right. That's right. That's right. I'm not seeing any missing brackets or anything. You know, I thought I saw missing parentheses, but I don't. That's closed. Oh, it is indentation. I'm sorry, man. Yeah, it's like a space right
is
here.
it?
Yeah, it's one
Okay.
space. So you have a tab plus a space, which is
When it's that far apart, it's kind of
that's all Python
that.
needs, man. Yeah. So that one extra piece of white space is probably breaking your whole thing.
yeah, that's what it was.
Cool.
Let's try it now.
Painful how long it takes to find something like that.
For real.
All right. Anybody else?
All right, we're
Cool. Anybody else? Questions?
I got one.
Yeah.
It might get resolved, but yeah, I'm having line 16. It says my argument's broken for my template, so
Okay.
figure out what's going on with it.
Sure. Let's see. I'm just going to go straight to your error log, see if this is informative. Reverse for update with no arguments. Ah, cool. So this, I think, and I'm just spitballing, I think this means that you didn't pass the primary key someplace. So when it says with no arguments, so check, before I go look in your
Like tasks, no
view tasks.html, the URL call, the href call where we pass the URL. Make sure that you've got that properly written.
Yeah.
I think that's what that means. We can go check together. So my site, application level templates, to do. And we're in the view task part to make sure that we're calling this correctly. Yeah, see right here is the problem. So remember the difference between creating a task and updating a task is that there is a task to be updated. So we have to make sure that we send the primary key here. So this is the part you're missing right here.
Hash.id.
It's yeah, just as so outside of this string, but before the
Dictionary.
percentage sign, yeah, right in here, just task.id.
I thought I had it. Maybe I didn't force it. All right, seems to fix it. Great.
Nice. All right, anybody else? Questions? Stuck?
So I have a question. When I go and I press like add task on my do you get an error too, or is it no? Oh,
No.
I can't
You
do it.
should not give you an error. It's giving you an error in add task though?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Let me see. It's telling me if task. That's something else I wrote.
Ah, so it's probably in the form. Check this out. Let's go have a look at your create update, that little piece of logic that we put in there to change the heading.
Mm-hmm.
That might be what is broken there. Let's have a look. So to do templates, to do create update task, if task. Ah, yeah, here we go. So it looks like you did not close this if block right here. So you have if, and then you have else, but you need to add an end if down here underneath this, like on, like space this down and put it on line 8. And actually take this block content and put it up here on line 3. Because all this stuff is in your content, right? So this block content has to be directly like the next thing below. It's not typically directly, it's typically a line down, but the next thing below your extends.html or the base.html should be this block content statement. So move this from line 8 up to 3 and then put on line 8 an end block, or not end block, sorry, end if, all one word. And that should solve this problem.
Oh wait, so I took everything from 10 to I think 23.
Uh-oh.
No?
No, you should just have to move this one block. Oh yeah, that's what you had originally. Like I'm looking at what you had before. If you just move this one statement that I have highlighted on row 8 and move it up to row 3,
I see what you mean.
yeah, it'll take care of that problem. But then you got to make sure you close off this if block with another one of these, just an end if block in there. That makes sense?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. And I can hop out of there so we don't have 2 of them open. While you're sorting that, any other questions?
Hey Jeff, can you open your my site to do views.py?
Sure. My site.
I'm getting an error when I try to go into my to-do list, and I wanted to see what yours looks like.
Sure. So my site to do, you want to see the views?
Views.py.
Views.py. All right.
And 18. Can you go to line 18?
Sure.
Oops.
So you're getting an error somewhere down in here?
Yeah, I'm getting it's showing me on line 18.
Hmm.
in to do views.py. When I click on the add?
Add task button.
Yeah, the add task. Not sure what's going on.
You get an error when you click on that.
Yeah, the home, because the home page is what was giving me the error before, but now it's the to-do list.
Okay. You want me to hop in there and have a look at it?
Yeah, please.
Sure, man. So, let's see. Sorry, wait, which one are you again?
Mike Hernandez.
Mike Hernandez. There we go. Okay. Mike Hernandez. Let's see. You are having a problem in your. Are you getting any errors in your views?
It's not giving me any syntax errors. It's giving it to me on the web, on the
Okay.
web page.
Okay. I'll start there then.
And it's saying it's line 18. So I'm guessing maybe it's not spelled right in another file, because usually
Yeah.
it does that.
Template does not exist. Ah, okay. It might be here. It might be that you're calling it singular, and the template's supposed to be view tasks. I'm guessing you're.
No, I have a
View tasks. That's right here. But this error right here says it's looking for this singular view task, which it's not. So that could be, let's see, in the update or. No, that's right. That's right. View tasks. See where you're calling view task.
maybe the file, the template file itself. No,
Maybe.
it's got an S on there. The
Mhm.
to-do view tasks.
Yeah, because it said that it's looking for this view task template. And it says that you have it on line 18 to get. And it even says it right here. It says view task.html.
Yeah.
So that's not where the error is.
Yeah.
Oh wait, could it be in where's the other place that we might have called that?
Base.
It wouldn't be in base, but it would be in a template. Let's have a look in there. So either maybe in here, create update. Or no, I'm sorry. Yeah, it would be in base because that's where, no, in view tasks. Because your add button should be here, right? Or is it not? Did you put your add button someplace else?
The A class button. Is that what you're referring to?
Oh, add task right here. No, that's right. Create tasks. And that's where, no, I had this broke. Just go in your to-do list.
Yeah.
So it looks like that's in the view, the regular view task view that we wrote from before. Huh. That's definitely not calling that. That's odd. I don't know. I can't
Yeah.
see anything obviously where this is being called, but that's definitely what it's telling you in this error, that it's looking for this template. I don't see a view that you have that's referencing that template anywhere.
It's and I guess I'll just go through the video later. I don't want to hold everybody up.
Yeah, we can. We have to table this one. Let's get the delete in there, and then I'll see if we're
It,
still stuck. Yeah.
it might be under the my site to do views.py.
Uh-huh.
There's two places where you have to change create task to create update task, and you might have only changed one of them.
No, it looks like that. Yeah, good call. But it looks like that's right in both those places. Here's one on line 31 for the create task, where it says create update task. And then
So
here.
that was my problem a
Oh,
couple
yeah.
minutes ago.
Okay.
So,
Yeah. But so like this one, because the error, and that's a good thought. I like where your head's on that one, but the error is saying that this is what it was looking for. It was looking for this view task.html, and that doesn't exist, which is true. I believe it doesn't exist. I just don't see where that's being called, because this says view tasks. This
what
says
is what is that exception location? What is that
um,
in the
in-
template does it not exist page? You see that
yeah.
exception location? It says line 19.
Yeah. So this is something that you don't have. This is something built into Django. So here's the full file where it says loader.py. And so
Yeah.
this is just basically like where there's a function in there called get template that they wrote, and it was looking for the template, and it said that it was trying to get this template named view tasks, and it broke because it couldn't find this template here. So yeah, honestly, man, that's a bit of a mystery. Let's put this down for a second. I'm gonna go through the delete operation, make sure we get the thing finished off, and if it's still stuck,
Okay.
we'll loop back and see what's going on.
Cool.
And then maybe when we get to the refactoring, if we get to the refactoring into classes, that might actually loose whatever the issue is here, and it might be something with just the function-based views.
Okay.
But, yeah, sorry about that, man. Sorry, I didn't have a
Nah, no worries.
quick answer on that one. All right, so let's dive into setting up our last little bit here in the delete operation. And this is going to be very simple and quick. It's going to follow a lot of the same patterns that we did with a lot less overhead. So we're going to use the JavaScript that we wrote before and implement that in place of making a new template and routing people through URL to it. We'll just give them that moment of pause and then just delete directly. The alternative would be following the same pattern, making a template and doing all those sorts of things. But since we already have the JavaScript, we'll just plug it in and roll with it. And as a caveat, if you follow this all the way to the end, if we don't get doing class-based views ourselves in class, leave that sort of as homework. And that would be a requirement there because the Django classes are going to really look for that template. But let's do it without and do a function. So back in our views.py, underneath our update task that we just wrote, we're going to do another function called, we use def again. We're going to call this delete task. And we're going to have the request that we've passed every time. And just like the creation or the update of a task, we're going to send our primary key so we know which task to delete. And similar to create, we're going to build our query. So which table we want it from. So task.objects. What do we want from that table? The objects. Where it meets this criteria, we get the ID that is the same as our primary key. So now we have our task object right here, saved in our task variable. And we're going to very simply do task.delete. There's a method for that task object that's built in. And that's it. We have now deleted the task. So all we got to do is send our users someplace after that thing has been done. And so we're going to send them with our redirect, because again, this is a database interaction. So something has been sent to the database. The delete has been sent to the database. And we're going to use our reverse because we have our namespaced application. So the string to do view dash tasks. Oh, what am I doing here? As a string. Good God. Apparently I want to use a semicolon instead of the end of a string. All right, so now that is it. That's all for this view. It's a very, very simple view as a function. Again, since we're not going to be checking any methods or doing anything crazy, we're going to use our JavaScript to say, hey, are you sure you want to do that? And that's the only check that we're going to do to double check with our users. But regardless, we've done this view. Now what's the next step that we always have to follow? After we write a view, we do what?
Map a URL.
map that URL. So let's go up to our to-do URLs. And then we'll map our delete task, which is going to be almost exactly like our update task URL. So we're just going to copy this and change the relevant pieces. So our task, I'm going to change the first part, update, to delete, even though this is not something anyone's going to see right now because it's just going to go there and come back. The user's not even going to land on this page really for any amount of time. We're going to leave this primary key call because we need that as well to delete. So we're going to leave that as it is. We'll change this to delete task. Delete task. And we will similarly change the name to delete task so we know how to reference this from our front end. And then we'll save that. Cool. Now, since we're using, again, we know we're going to use our JavaScript, and we're not going to use a Django template. We don't have to do the template step. So what step do we have to do? We're skipping step 3. We go straight to step 4, which is what?
Make the button.
Make the button. So we look at our site real quickly for kind of fast design. This is going to be something that's associated with each one of these. So it's going to, each one is going to have their own delete button, and we'll just add it to this table over here on the right side. So we'll put another table heading right here to add a column, but there'll be nothing in it because there's no need to actually put a column heading on that table, and just put the buttons right here on the right-hand side so we can delete each button. So let's hop in there and get that done. So to do that, we're going to go over to our view tasks.html, the template in our project level templates. So to do templates, to do view tasks.html. All right, so we need to add up here at the top, for me, it's on line 12 where we have our status heading. We're going to add another heading right underneath this inside of this table row to account for make space for our delete buttons. So I'm going to add another TH, so table heading tag, but we're not going to put anything in it because we don't need anything at the top. So that's all that we put there. Very simple. And then underneath here, we're going to scroll down to our table row where we grab the specific task and we enter the data into our table. So we're going to put another table data TD tag in here. And after it closes, I'm going to give us some space so that we can put some information in here. And this is just going to be an A tag like we've done a bunch of times. So another A tag with our old familiar hyperlink reference. href set to our Django template tag, curly bracket, percentage sign, curly bracket, URL, and as a string to do :delete task. And then similar to what we had to do before, we have to send the task.id outside of that URL string, but inside of our Django tag in the href itself. And close off this tag with the angle bracket. And then we just need to put something in here to let people know that we're deleting this task. So delete task, whatever you want to put in there. Totally fine. And then the last piece before we move on is, again, we want to reference our JavaScript that we used, that we wrote already, that we had before, to give us our confirmation. So now is the time to plug that in, and all we have to do is use that reference that we used before as a class reference in our HTML attribute, right? So I'm going to give myself some space before this href and add a class, and we'll say btn, so it's a button, and we'll say our custom class of btn-delete. So our delete button should link up our JavaScript to it to give us our warning and give our users a moment of pause, say, hey, sure you want to do that? And then when they say they do, it'll execute our task delete function view that we wrote. And that is it for that. So we're going to save that. Let's reload the server-side code. It could quite possibly be the first time I've said reload the first time instead of saying refresh, because we refresh in the browser. So I have delete tasks pop up, which is encouraging. And now if I say I want to delete this another task, I hit delete, a little pop-up that says, hey, are you sure you want to do that and delete that task? I'm going to say, no, I don't want to do that. So cancel. My task is still there. So canceling works. And if I say okay, we see that that task is taken away. So now we have our delete task with some kind of warning for the users. Any questions on that? Anybody stuck? Mike, were you able to figure out where you were stuck before that? No.
Nah, I wasn't able to.
Oh shit. Okay.
Still waiting for my refresh.
Okay.
I will. The other day I spent like I was watching the video. I spent
Yeah.
like 2 hours, but I got it. So
Nice. Nice. That's
getting better.
it's frustrating to spend that time in, but it is absolutely worth it, and that's the right attitude. You will just the more you do it, the better you're going to get at it. So
Yeah.
anybody else? Anybody else getting worried? I know. So JT, I know you mentioned that you had to work before we started. You were caught up like at this point in the refactoring the classes. Anybody else able to get it fully working up to this point?
Yeah, I got it.
Nice.
Crazy how much is involved in a simple website like this.
I know, isn't it amazing? And that's the thing is that realistically, this is like the starting point of an actual web application of some point, right? It's not like this doesn't do anything really that interesting. These are just the basic operations. So yeah, but the cool part, like the upside to that, is that with this that you have all these operations built in. Again, you can go expand this to literally anything. What you're reading, creating, updating, and deleting could be whatever you want. Social media posts, videos, whatever.
Starting to click a little, but there's still so much over my head.
Yeah. Okay. That's good. Starting to click a little is good. I like that. And that feeling of it being over your head, man, that's the thing that's not going to go away, honestly. I don't think there's ever a point at which you feel like you got it. So embrace that feeling. Nathan, did you get yours working?
No, I think there's something else going on. My computer's still reloading over here. We went
Uh-oh.
for too long. That's probably reloaded.
Oh, that could be a network issue. Yeah.
Wow.
Did you threaten it?
I did. I did threaten to throw it out the window.
Yeah. I was going to say, give it the typical advice, turn the power on and off, but don't do that. I don't think it's that serious. But, all right. So we've got about 30 minutes left. That should be plenty of time to refactor into classes if we want to jump into that. Is that something we want to try doing? So again, Mike, this might solve your problem too, as well. Since we're basically just going to do, Daniel, like you said, there's a lot involved in this. We went through a sort of explicit way of setting up all these views, writing them in functions. And so if we write them in classes, it goes a lot faster because we could use the stuff that's built in by Django and we could just like knock this stuff out, right? So let's hop through that. We could walk through that. It's in the documentation again. So if it's something we don't complete all the way to the end, but I think we should be able to in 30 minutes without issue. Unless somebody wants to dive in and has a question up to now, because this is the complete app. This is where we wanted to get as the checkpoint for today. So if you're in a place like Mike, where you're really close, but you just need to debug some, we can leave that aside. But if anybody got questions or anything up to now, we can address them. If not, we can go to refactoring and check out classes because it is kind of cool. All right, let's do it. All right, so we're going to follow the same pattern that we've followed every time. Views, URLs, templates, that whole thing. There's going to be less to do on the template side because we're just going to reuse the templates we already have. But we're going to start off in our views. So we're going to go to do views.py. And at the top, we're going to start by importing Django's built-in, what's called generic views. And these are all the things that we just did explicitly, writing out a view to see all the tasks that are in there as a list. They have something built in for that, or to like update an object in a database. They have something built in for that handles all that stuff that we did explicitly. And we just take a class, we can use Python's class inheritance and just reference the parts that we need to use and roll on from there. So to do that, up in our import statements at the top of the page, we're going to do from Django.views.generic. We're going to import, and we're going to import a handful of these. So we're going to do, these are pretty handily named, create view, right? So that's the class base. So it's a class. So it's going to be camel case with capitalized first letter. So we're going to do this in the CRUD sense, right? So create, read, update, and delete. Read has two choices. JT, this is one of the things that we were talking about earlier, right? Where we have the list view, like the one we're looking at, where there's several items in a list, or there's a detail view, like if we clicked on a task and we just see the details but not update them, which we don't have in our app, so we're not going to worry about that. We're just going to do the list view class. So we have create view, list view, and then the other two, update, view, and delete view. All right, so these are built-in generic Django class views. So they're Python classes, but they're built into Django. So now I'm going to scroll down to underneath our function-based views down here. I'm just going to start writing our class views underneath the delete task. I'm going to give myself some space so we're not distracted by all this stuff. And let's go. So first one we're going to do, I have in the documentation, we're not following exactly CRUD, but we could. But we'll do the update because that's what's in the documentation, so we won't lose everybody, right? So class, you can do task, update, view. And again, the convention is to name these things, first of all, with capitalized in camel case, so it's all one word, no hyphens, dashes, anything like that. And then update view, like be explicit about what kind of view this is. And then we're going to inherit the generic update view that we imported at the top. This is going to tell us what model, so we're going to tell it as an attribute what model we want to use. So our task model that we've used several times. We're going to tell it which fields we want to grab. Now this, if you're thinking this looks a lot like the form that we made over in the forms, you're right. This is, again, a way that we could do this explicitly, directly in here with the size that we have. It's very simple. It might make more sense just to reference that form, but this is, again, showing you that all we have to do with these classes, instead of going and making a form and doing all that stuff and defining a form someplace, we do those things explicitly in the view itself, right? So we just say which model, which fields we want out of that model, and then we just tell it a template name. So we say template underscore name is set to, and then a string that we want to set it to. So in our case, to do slash, remember we did the combined create update task.html. Whoop, no extra dots. And then we have to pass what's called a success URL. So success underscore URL. And this is just going to tell it where to go. And this is the name of our URL from our urls.py, which is, in our case, to do, which will take us back to our view tasks, basically homepage for our to-do application. Not the homepage of the site overall. All right, so similarly, so that's it. So that's a class-based view. That's all you got to do for it. It's really simple. All the mechanics of how that's going to work and serve and handle the HTTP requests and all those things that we talked about, that's built into the class. We don't have to do any of that explicitly. So that's it. Much fewer lines of code. And so in that same vein, I'm just going to go ahead and write the rest of the classes in that same way because they're all basically going to do the same pattern. So we're going to do our list view is our next one. It's going to be the read operation, right? So class, we'll say task list view, and we will similarly inherit the generic list view class. Tell it which model we want to use, the task model. This one, since we're not using a form of any kind, we have to say fields. We're just going to go straight to the template underscore name and pass it the to do view. Whoa, man. View dash tasks.html as a string. And then we're going to pass it the what's called context underscore object name. Now, what do we think this is before we fill this in? If you're not looking at the documentation, thinking back to our function-based views, we did this explicitly. What is this context object name thing that we might be talking about? We'll scroll up and point at it if we need to. Right here. This thing. right? So when we defined our function-based view, we passed a context object. That's this thing right here. We pass our tasks in that. So in our front end, we reference these already named things like tasks, form down here, which we don't need to use this time because we're using a different form. Task down here, right? So we have these things already named. That's what this is asking for in the context object name, right? So we're just going to give it that tasks as a string. Since we're doing our list view, the context object name that we expect in our front end template is tasks. This again is an arbitrary name. We could have named it anything we want to. But we already know that in our template scheme in the front end, it is right now called tasks. So this way we don't have to rename anything. But this is how you do passing stuff into a context in a class. We did it in functions as writing a dictionary. This is how you do it in classes. All right, so there's our read operation. We did our create, or I'm sorry, we did our update. We did our read. Let's do our create. So task, whoa, class, task, create view, and I guess I'm not staying totally faithful to the documentation. Apologies. And we'll similarly inherit the create view from Django, the generic create view. We're going to tell it what model we want to use, task model. This is going to use a form, so we're going to tell it which fields to use. And again, this is a choice. We could have referenced the field that, or the form that we built before, but this is to show that you don't have to do all those steps and define these anywhere other than directly in the view, since we're using classes. And then we similarly do the template name, which is going to be basically the same thing. Like this is going to look a lot like the other one, except we just need a differently named task create view. The substance of this view is basically, it's going to be very, very similar to the update one. So then we say the template that we want to use, since we're using the combined one, is to do /create dash update dash task.html. And then we have to pass it a success underscore URL, which similarly is just the name of our sort of root URL for the app. All right, so now we got update, we got a read, we got a create. So CRUD, but in sort of disarray. And now we'll get our delete view. So this is going to require us to go make a template for it real quick, but that's a very simple template to make. Only take a second. We'll do class task delete view, and we will inherit Django's generic delete view. Very simple. 3 things we need to add here. The model, again, because we're doing tasks, so we'll deal with the task model. We'll tell it what template to use, which is a template, again, we had not made since we used our JavaScript to do this function. This is going to follow the same patterns of just serving up a page for confirmation. So we're going to say confirm delete dash task. So confirm dash delete dash task.html is going to be the name of our template that we have not yet made. We'll go make it fast after this. We'll do success URL is once again back to our main, sorry. Whoa, what am I doing here? Our main to-do view that we go to. All right, so there are our class-based views. Much more compact, leveraging stuff that's built in. So let's save these. And the next step is, in our process, what do we do after we write our views? We do what?
You map the URL.
Map URLs. Yes, very good. So we go to our URLs, and now we are going to have to start by importing our new class-based URLs. So we're going to change this import statement to accommodate what we now have written. So underneath this, we're going to say from, this time we're going to do dot views. So the name of the file, dot being the directory that we are in right now, which is to do. We're going to import, and then the names of the views that we have. So task, well, man, spelling is all over the place. So create view, task list, view, task update, view, and task delete view. Cool. So now we have these views available to us, and we have to just restructure
and proceeded toward elevators, period.
our calls down here where we reference our functions. We now have to reference our classes. So the way we do this is I'm going to start with this top one where it says views.view tasks. I'm just going to take that out and start with a class name. So task list view is the name of our basic view for reading all the tasks that we have. And then we do dot as underscore view as a method. So there's a method, again, that's built into Django's generic things that will handle setting this up, setting this class, treating it like a view, and doing all the mechanics that we need to do for a view. So we need to follow the same pattern with this as view. So I'm just going to copy that because I'm going to be pasting it on the rest of these. And similarly, change these to the class names. So our create is task create view dot as view method, and then task update view dot as view, and then task delete view as view. So there's our URLs. When I save this, it's going to give me, it should give me a little warning that says, hey, you're importing these things, but you're not using them. You can ignore that. It's not going to break anything, but if it bothers you, you can also comment it out. That way you don't have to remember to do it later, or you can just erase it entirely. That's not going to break anything because we are not using these anymore. But if you want to keep this in mind so you know the syntax of it, use it later, and you just don't like seeing that error, feel free to comment it out. Or you just ignore that error. I'm not in a habit, I would not advocate that you get in the habit of ignoring errors. So if you want to find a way to get rid of that, you either remove it entirely or just comment it out. So that's our URL mapping. Now we do have to make a template because, well, we need one now because the class is going to expect a template. It's going to be an exceptionally simple template. We're going to have a confirm button, make sure that we want to confirm the thing. So basically rebuilding the thing we did in JavaScript, except we're going to do it the Django way. So it's just going to be in a template with HTML buttons and whatnot, right? So we're going to go to our to-do templates and we'll create, so to-do templates to-do. We're going to make ourselves alongside our create, update, task, HTML, and view tasks, we're going to do a confirm dash delete dash task.html. Hit enter. Should take me in. And now we're making a new template. So what's the first thing we do at the top of every new template for Django?
The extend base command.
Yes. So we open the tag, curly bracket, percentage sign, curly bracket. We do extends, and then the name of which template we want to extend. In our case, base.html is a string. And then we set aside our block area inside of another tag, and we know that our block is called content. And that we have to close this block with an end block. Cool. So this is our starting point for any Django template. And let's start off with, again, we're basically rebuilding the same elements that we have in our pop-up now. So we're going to say, are you sure you want to do that? And then some sort of button to either confirm or cancel. That's it. That's all we need. So let's start off with just a paragraph tag, because we're just going to put some text up on the screen that we want to be able to format however we want to format text. So are you sure? I'll get the Zoom stuff out of my way. Sure you want to delete, and then we'll say task, hashtag, and now we can give it some of that dynamic information because we know we have passed our task item to this thing. It should be in our context object, so we should have passed it already. So task.id. Here, it should print out on the thing, say, are you sure you want to print out this task or you want to delete this task? We can change that to title since this isn't being shown here. Whatever makes the most sense for you, but this is the mechanics for doing it. Just some information out to the user. And then we're going to
question mark.
What's that?
So don't forget your question mark at the end.
Oh man, for question mark. Yeah, stylistic. Okay, that would break everything. Okay, good call. All right, so then below that, we're going to enter in a very simple form so that we can handle the buttons and the interaction of the buttons. So it's going to be an HTML form tag. The method of this form is once again going to be post, like we've done before. It's going to be a post method form.
cap post.
Yeah, we should. I think it works either with this one. I think it works with either, but we'll put it in caps. Good call. All right. So, anybody remember what we need in all forms built into Django that kind of helps us out with some security stuff?
CSSR.
Close. Yeah, good one, man. Really close. That's CSRF, cross-site reference forgery. So CSRF underscore token inside of a Django template tag to help block cross-site reference forgeries. All right. And inside of this, we're going to do a confirm button and a cancel button. So the confirm button is going to be the same as submit button. It could be submit, but we'll just say confirm because we're asking for confirmation. But that'll be just like we did in the other form. So it's a button tag. We'll say type as an attribute is submit because we're submitting some sort of information. And then we'll just say confirm as the text inside of that button. So they got something to look at and it'll actually pop up. And then our cancel button will just be an anchor tag that'll take people back to the homepage. That's just how we're going to cancel. So we'll say, no, we don't want to do that. So we'll just do an A tag with an href pointed back to, whoop, as a string, template tag, with the URL inside, pointed to our namespaced to-do app with a view dash tasks as a string. And then we'll close this off and write cancel inside. And that should be it. Very basic template. Give us some way to just confirm with the user, like, hey, you sure you want to do this thing? Give them a couple of buttons to say they either do or they don't. So let's save this. And now we can, as the last little bit, since we have this, we don't need that JavaScript anymore, right? So we did that for demonstrative purposes to show where JavaScript fits into websites in a non-contrived use case. But now we're not using JavaScript. We're just going to do all that stuff in Django, so we can just get rid of that stuff entirely. So let's go back up to the appropriate template there, in our view tasks.html, and just pull out that class reference to our custom button delete attribute here, and we can just pull this out. So it's just a button for our delete button. We can save that, and that should be the last change we have to make to update our classes. So we reload this. If I didn't fat finger anything and misspell some stuff or switch my words and not write create and write crate or some craziness, that should work. So let's go back here and refresh. It didn't break, which is nice. So our read is working. We can see, we add another task.
Mine's broken.
Uh-oh.
Mine is still broken.
Some people's broken. We've got some time to debug and fix, though. Okay, so we
Was
can
that last
add it
thing you did? View tasks?
in this right here. I just took out the button dash delete off of the delete button so that we don't get the JavaScript warning when we delete a task.
On the views.py,
Mhm.
I missed the Django reference that you input at the beginning.
Okay,
It was like
Let's-
line 4 or 5.
sure. Let's go back and have a look. Just going to test this. Oh, template does not at least task confirm underscore delete. Ah, okay. Let's get this figured out. Oh. Okay. So this, apparently, I named this the wrong thing. This needs to be confirm. Did I put underscores in my class? That's what I did. I put underscores in my class. Let's go fix that. Okay, so I made a mistake in naming the... No, I didn't. Confirm delete. So why did this tell me it didn't work? Let's try to delete task again. Does not exist. Interesting. Okay, so this is telling me that that doesn't work, but this is the thing that it should be looking for. Interesting. Let's try this. wait, no, I didn't push any changes. Okay. That's good. Let's try this. Some little debugging on the fly. I'll try renaming my file to match that underscores. I'm not sure why I was looking for an underscore template because that's not what I told us to look for. But let's try it. So we got create dash update. Oh, no, I'm sorry. V confirm delete to confirm underscore delete underscore task dot html. Let's see if that solves our little can't find the template problem. And anybody else stuck at the same point with the classes? I know JT, you were stuck before. Did you get unstuck?
On the other ones, you had a template underscore name. Is there a reason why it's only template on that one? See how the one above it, it has template underscore name.
Ah, that nice, dude. That's the problem. So it defaulted probably to this underscore thing. I didn't call template name, so I gave it the wrong attribute. That's why I was looking for a default template and not the one I gave it. Beauty. But now I updated it so it should all match.
Does that
Even
extra
though
period at the
I was
end
solving the wrong
matter?
problem. It does. Good God, I'm all full of problems. That's why I like having extra sets of eyes. I appreciate you. All right, so now without those errors, hopefully all this stuff matches now. So yes, it is important to put template name, not just template, because that obviously didn't work because it didn't find the template. Let's try this again. All right, there we go. Now we get to our confirm page. So I can cancel and it's still there. And if I confirm, it does delete the task. Okay, so if we actually use template name calls instead of just calling template, then it should delete. Was anybody able to do that in refactoring classes, or did everybody get stuck?
Refreshing.
Okay.
Yeah, I still
And
need that.
it's still broken.
So what's that, Daniel? What do you still need? Or Mike, what
Mine
do you
just
need?
says something went wrong.
Something went wrong. Okay.
Yeah, I need the Django reference at the top of to do views.py. Like
Oh,
thing
the import
yeah,
up here. Okay, sure. Yeah. So from
I just need to copy that real quick.
yeah, for sure. And then Daniel said you got an error. You don't know what went wrong.
Yeah, it just says something went wrong.
Uh-oh. What do your error logs say?
A lot.
I'm wondering
Almost
if
done.
Daniel and I are having the same issue because I'm also getting the blank something went wrong page. And my error log said something about attribute error type object task delete view has no attribute as view.
Ah, so make sure in your URLs, I'll go back and look at it in a second, but make sure. So actually, stop for a second. Is that, Daniel, do you see something that says the same thing where it says attribute, doesn't have an attribute dot as view?
Mine's kind of doing the same N4 N block, so I might have a dollar sign somewhere.
Yeah,
check.
that's probably a front end thing. But for Josh, for you, that I can almost guarantee that if you look at your URLs, where it says the name of your class-based view dot and then as view, if it says no attribute named as view, think about how classes in Python, how they behave. They have methods and attributes, right? And what's the difference? What's an attribute, first of all?
My mind is going completely blank.
Okay, no worries, no worries. So it's like a variable, but it's inside of a class. And then a method is like a function, but inside a class, right? Dragon? Okay. So if it says attribute, the way we reference attributes is just by the name itself. But if it's a function or a method, then it has to have open and closing parentheses. They're usually empty. There's usually nothing in them. So make sure that your as view call, where it says the name of the class dot as view, make sure there's open and closed parentheses after it with nothing in them.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now and they all have it.
They all have it, and it's still treated like an attribute?
That's the only thing in the error log I can make sense of.
Okay. All right. You want me to hop in there and have a look?
Yes, please.
All right. Mike, you good on this?
Yeah. My
All
bad.
right, cool. No worries. No, I was making sure that you have plenty of time to do it. All right. Let's see. You're Rice 901, yeah?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Cool. Let's do this. And anybody else, we are right at time. So if you want to hang out and debug, you're all definitely welcome to. But if you got it working, that's the class for today. Let's actually hold Rice. Let's go to your web tab and see what we got going on. So anybody that wants to hop, you are definitely welcome to. If you want to hang out and debug with us, you're also welcome to do that. If you're leaving, we'll see you Thursday. If you're staying, then we'll keep talking. All right, so let's slide down here.
Thursday is our last class, right?
Thursday is our last class.
Uh,
We're going to talk about, so it's like the app's done now. We're going to talk about version control systems, particularly Git, how to use them, how they work, how to integrate into this whole thing and save your work and do different versions of it. And now that we've had all this element of different things, we're going to add time to make it more confusing so we can keep track of multiple versions of our files.
okay.
Yeah.
Good
Right.
night.
Yep. Have a good one.
Night.
All right. So, Josh, I see the problem here. Do you see the problem? It's not parentheses, but it is in this call right here.
There's no dashes.
No, dashes are right. It's this right here is capitalized, and it should not be.
Oh.
So I'm fairly certain. Just double check. I'm almost positive those are not capitalized. Let me just go double check before I start saying that's definitely the thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, not capitalized.
That's it.
That's it? All right. Capital V, man, I'll get you. All right. Who else is stuck?
I'm
still
still
stuck.
getting that same one.
Still getting that same one? All right. So let's see. Daniel, I'm going to try hopping in and check out yours first, if that's cool.
Yeah.
Let's get this up out the way. And go. All right. Let's see the error first. Done your error logs. Bam. View, import, create view task. Ah. Okay. Oh, wait, no. Task, delete, view. So there's a problem in your import statement? Cannot import task list view from to-do.views. Okay. So, what is this telling us?
Task list view. That it's not
Import from the wrong.
that
From the
something
wrong
spelled
file.
wrong.
Yeah, it could be spelled wrong. So, if it doesn't look like, so it's in your urls.py, it says line 4 that it can't import these things. All right, so let's go have a look. Let's go have a look at those things. Files. And then first, we'll just go to the urls.py and have a look. See if it's giving you any errors. Is it giving you errors on this?
No, I don't see any.
It's not. Okay. Task update view, task list. Ah, there it is.
Oh, he's missing the eye.
Missing the eye. So task
What is
view.
it? 61.
These little details are just killing us.
I know and that's how it always is, man. That's why, again, when you're like making decisions between languages, the amount of stuff like when we talked about JSON versus XML kind of being more popular. JSON has less stuff to worry about to go wrong than XML, and that's quite literally why it's more popular. Because programming is just this endless sea of like little tiny things like that. So any chance that you could not have as many, people jump at that.
That was it. I did it.
Nice. I'm always glad when it's that like it's kind of a double-edged sword. I'm glad when it's that simple, but it's also incredibly frustrating that it's that simple. All right, who else? Mike, you still stuck?
Still stuck, man. And it's actually giving me an error from view dash task dash or dot html,
Cool.
and it's saying line 18. I don't know if we looked at that one last time, but it's saying reverse for update task not found. Update task is not a valid view function or pattern name.
Ah, all right. So then what does that mean? Not a valid view function or pattern name. Where might we start looking to fix that?
Wherever that's referenced.
Right. Okay. What reference does this look like to you that we've written a couple of times in the code? Like where does this sort of thing kind of point you?
It looks like it's in the urls.py.
It
Yeah.
needs a create/update.
No, that shouldn't be it. I like that's the name of the template. So that does make sense what you're saying. But you're right, Mike, in that the URLs is where we use that name is the one that we pass at the end of our URLs file. Right here. And I think I see the problem.
What do we got? What do we got?
It's our best friend pluralization. So
Oh my
you have
gosh.
plural tasks on everything, and I think what you're calling is task on update, if I remember the error right. Here, let's go slide down and just double check if that's the error. Yeah, so you're looking for a singular update task is not found. So either you update your URL references to make sure that this is just singular task name, or you update your front end references in your anchor tags that reference these URLs to match this the same thing. But you just have to be consistent and make sure they match. So I bet if we look over at your front end templates, it's probably gonna have update task for your add button. See what I mean? Let's go down here. Tasks. Yeah, right here. See that? You have it singular here. So either make it singular in the URLs or add an S here and make it plural here. They just have to match each other.
Let's try that. Do I need to change the task ID to tasks, or that's okay?
No, that should still be good because that is referencing this right here, right in our for loop, where it says for task. This is the task we're talking about. The
Yeah.
object tasks, that's from your view, so that should still be good. Like if this didn't break when it was loading the template on this part, if it broke on that part, then that's not the issue.
I think that's what it is, because now it's telling me to change the one in line 25 to like the same way. That one says task singular.
Yeah,
as well.
because you use plural in all your URLs. So yeah, again, just one or the other. You just got to be consistent throughout to make sure that they match each
Okay.
other, however you reference them.
All right, yeah, we're good.
Nice.
And delete tasks. Okay. Yeah, we're cool.
Awesome.
Neat.
Awesome.
Make sure you delete the button delete part.
Yeah,
What do
yeah.
you mean?
Keep this right here. This is going to have your JavaScript thing pop up still. So if you don't want that to happen, if you're on the class-based views, take that class call out.
Which one is that? View
So
tasks.
Yeah, right back we were on line 25.
And you're
with the-
saying remove that part?
Yeah, you take that out. If you don't want to use the JavaScript, like if you're using class-based views, you don't need that JavaScript warning anymore because we do the Python or the Django confirmation using the delete. We don't use the JavaScript at all.
And just leave the button, the BTN part in,
Yeah,
right?
leave that part in there. Yeah, and then it'll
Okay.
format right. You can see everything. But you take out this custom one, and then that should be it.
Let's make sure. No, see, it took me.
Did it break
No,
again?
hold on. Let me. Okay, no, I just had to do the control reload.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. Cool. All right. Excellent. Excellent work, y'all. So now you all have fully functioning web applications that you can,
Nope.
unless it's broken. Is yours still broken?
Yep, it's
Oh man, JT. Okay, shit. Let's do yours. All right, let's go. I'm all saying, hey, congratulations, everybody did it except you. I'm joking. let's have a look. All right, let's see what your web tab is telling us as far as errors go. All right. We're still at the same error. Okay, so the to-do
yeah.
task list, this task list thing. So this has got to be, you know what? No, this is the same error I made, man. Check it. Look at this thing. And remember we said we don't see this called anywhere. And we're like, oh, it's a mystery. It's not called anywhere. Same thing happened to me. What was the problem that I made? I made the same mistake. And I think it was Mike, actually. You caught me on it. What mistake did I make when I was doing the delete task? Yeah.
You forgot to name it.
I forgot the word name. I put template and I didn't put underscore name. So I misnamed the template in the class. So check your class-based view.
Pretty sure I checked that when you did that.
Doing it, and it did the same thing. Well, I'm gonna say that's helpful. It's at least encouraging because this is showing us that underscore thing. That's the convention that Django used as its default. So this is telling us this is probably pulling a default template
They
from
all
something.
have.
Template name. Oh man, that's not it. It's spelled correctly, isn't it? So update task view, create task view.
Is that one
Okay,
supposed
no, it
to
has.
be?
No, that is the problem. You have this have an underscore,
Yeah.
and you shouldn't.
Well,
Or if
all
you
of
change
my
the
rest of them
underscore.
have underscores, so I did that to be consistent with the rest of my naming convention.
Oh, did you? Okay, so if this has an underscore, yeah, I guess it does. View tasks, there it is. Huh.
Yeah.
But task list, I don't where you're not calling that anywhere. And so again, so I was thinking that was the fallback when the template didn't get a good override,
Right.
but you do, and your error. Oh, this is mine. That's not yours. Let's go back and look at your error again. Go error log. Template does not exist. View task HTML. That definitely exists. And this one, I agree, doesn't, but I don't see where that's being called still. And again, if you did overwrite it, because presumably it's in this call, right? Task list view, template, view task HTML. And that's spelled properly. So it's not the same mistake I made.
Would it be the S on there, right?
The view tasks,
Yeah.
is it? I don't think so. No, it's got an S on this.
But this one is showing no S. The one next to it, the to do tasks.
Task list. Yeah, I don't even know where this is being called. That's why I thought it might be a mislabeling of the template name here, like I did when it fell back to a generic delete
Yeah.
on the confirm thing, but that's not what's happening here. So like this does exist. Hang on a second. Let's see if. Oh wait, no, that's not. Trip. Let's go back to mine. Have a look. See files. My site. Let's do views. Okay, so the only difference that I see between these.
So underscore.
Is the underscore. All right, I'm not seeing anything else.
But
No, yeah. Yes, I do. Do you see any other difference?
Oh, cat. He's missing the forward slash, or he's added a forward slash.
Add
I'm
or
not
forward
sure.
slash.
Okay.
That might be messing you up.
Let's see that one.
Try taking that off because that would explain why we're seeing the default. That's it. It's this forward
Yeah.
slash. Because look, the call over here, this is calling the default. So that was helpful. So basically what this did was when it couldn't find this one, the one that you told it to find, it fell back to its default, which is this task underscore list.html, but it couldn't find that either. So that's why it has both of these in there.
It's funny how it gives you the answer, but it's like you have to figure out
Yeah, but it's in
where
all
that comes
of
into
this.
play.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's in all of this that you got to
Yeah.
dig back through. And sometimes it is literally just like it's right there, and sometimes it's up here, and sometimes it's like further back.
Wow.
Yeah. Is that it?
I'm checking it out now.
All right. Let's get out of here. So again, I hope that's it.
Okay. Task. Now I've got a problem with deleting a task.
Okay. I think it's the same problem. Or is it not?
It's href URL to do view tasks.
Yeah, give me that, Nathan. Have a good one, man.
Okay, this is to do templates, to do confirm delete task. Oh, this one's not underscored.
Ah, there you go. Yeah, I mean, and seriously, that's the thing is that it's what never changes no matter what you're working on is it's always going to be this sort of stupidity of like you're trying to reference a certain file and making sure that the path is right to that file is like 90% of what you're doing.
Confirm. Yep, it's working now.
Nice.
Hooray.
All that stupid slash, man. Nice. so it's like slashes and the letter S and all that kind of stuff has been a major hurdle to all we did today. But
Some things are dashes, some things are
Yeah.
underscored, and I can't seem to figure out why things are which.
yeah. But great job, y'all. I'm really glad that you got to that end point of making it work, and so many of you have. So anybody that's still stuck, definitely reach out. But keep practicing. Don't be afraid to throw stuff out, and we will see you Thursday for version control systems and wrapping up the course.
Hey, Jeff,
All
on
right,
that
Jeff.
note,
Yeah.
Good evening.
I have to miss our last class. So is there
Okay.
anything I should be focusing on, or just review the material?
Yeah. Yeah, I say reviews like this is because this is really the thing. So all the stuff that we did up to this point is going to be the same no matter what you build anywhere. And so the stuff that we practiced is, let me stop this recording.